Kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. I'm Ash. He's Brent. I'm the Wade. He's the Carter. We're glad you're all here. Thanks to everybody joining us on Magic, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, the Magic app, Magic website, wherever you are out there in the hinterlands. We're glad you're here with us this morning on a beautiful, beautiful, slightly foggy Tuesday in Victoria, Texas, but it's going to be a nice one, and the Wade and Carter weather will tell you just that. Brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerlimb Hay Feed and Ranch Services. Stop on by today. Talk to Jackie. She'll hook you up with whatever you need for your house, your ranch, your
ranchito,
your adobe hut.
63 degrees in Victoria under mostly clear skies, heading to a high today of 80.
Deer blind, she's got stuff for that. Jordan Glass, Wendy Hughes Garcia, and Amanda King. The first three
top
in
of
on
the
the podium
today.
this morning. Ricky King, Rena Scherer, Scott Tomko, Lisa Poole, Judge Posey. Good morning, Micah Patton, Linda Christ. Bobby Leister checking in a day before Caldo Wednesday.
Bobby's always there. Scott Snow and Justin Glass, Greg Garcia, Junior Samples, Zed Stewart, Will Vincent. Thank you, Will.
David Glass, I got to give a shout out to Ara Corbett. He's going to check in on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe it over there.
There you go. Yeah, if you get a chance, folks, it just helps us. If you go to YouTube, bring up the Wade and Carter, and then just like it.
And subscribe to
it.
And then share it to your friends on YouTube as well. If we can get things. Sheree Brissett, good morning.
Because if they tell two people, and then they tell two people, and the next thing you know, we could be like Wella Balsam. Where did Balsam come from?
Does Wella Balsam even still exist? Or is
I don't
it
know.
Wella?
You know who made that famous?
Farrah Fawcett.
Absolutely. Was there ever a more... I guess there was the Jane Mansfields, the Marilyn Monroes, but has there been anybody since, even including Pam Anderson, that was as iconic as Farrah Fawcett?
Pam probably close.
Farrah Fawcett in the red swimsuit?
No.
On the poster?
I don't think so. But I would say Pam Anderson was probably close in the
Jennifer
90s, right?
Maybe.
You know what's crazy is everybody wanted Farrah Fawcett hair. Now they all want Cher hair.
How does Cher wear?
Well, remember Cher back in the day, just long and straight. Right?
Oh yeah.
Now they all use straighteners and want as straight as it can be. There's Daniel Wade White, Marvin Mickish.
Take Dawn.
Marvin, look at Slacker. He was fourth yesterday. He was almost on the podium, and now he's like at the bottom
He's
of the
reveling.
list.
He's there curled up with his participation ribbon.
Yeah, he set a personal best, and now he's like he's like Canada's track team. He set a personal best in the Olympic qualifying, and then they go to the Olympics, and they just...
Wendy Hughes Garcia says maybe Heather Locklear. Yeah, there was a time.
There was a time, but she was more fleeting.
Tommy Lee just ran through all that. Heather Locklear, Pam Anderson.
She was on TJ Hooker. Remember that?
Yeah, she was
Will
great.
Shatner and Adam. What was the dude's other guy's name? I don't remember.
If I remember correctly, she was actually not. I mean, it should not be a surprise, but I think Heather Locklear was actually a pretty decent person. I mean, I think she was actually, not a prima donna. Marvin says he can't text and drive. That's fair, Marvin. You be safe.
Yeah. So where do we want to start this morning? Do you want to start?
Have it. You're the man. I tell you, the breaking news 5 hours ago in Moscow, there was an explosion. A scooter, like a little scooter,
like a Vespa,
was blown up, killing two people in Moscow. The proximity involved the director of chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons for Russia, like this general, the guy, picture the guy, bald-headed, Kirillov, I think is his name, with all the patches on his chest, and he was targeted. He walked by this scooter, and it was detonated, killing him and a deputy minister. And Ukraine is claiming that they did it. They're saying, yeah, we did it. The guy's a war criminal. He's that makes him open game during wartime, and we decided to kill him. So very interesting. Definitely going to put a damper on Vlad Putin's day, and we'll see what the repercussions are. Yeah,
I don't know that there are any. It seems Ukraine's getting a little more brazen. And I still think
the glow is off
coming.
Russia.
Well,
I think the end is coming. I think that you and I have agreed that at the end, Ukraine is going to have to cede some land to Russia, but it won't involve the Black Sea, and it will involve the end of the war.
Although I'm hearing that may not be the case anymore.
They may say, no, just get out of here.
Yep.
In that case, that's a victory for Ukraine, aside from the
fact that both sides have lost
so many
over 1 million people.
So many people. Yeah. The Russians, no
Needlessly.
stranger to huge wartime losses.
Ryan Hopping, Buddy
Just
Stefanella
amazing.
checking in.
Sheree Brissett adds that Linda Carter, who was Wonder Woman, is actually a huge liberal. I did not know that.
I mean, I don't know. That stuff doesn't disappoint me.
No. She was a
Didn't
big gal.
didn't care about her politics when I was watching Wonder Woman.
Easy.
I really don't care about her politics now. But I'm not the type that gets swayed by a celebrity and their stance on anything. I mean, if a celebrity's opinion, platform, political stance sways you simply because they're who they are, you've got lots and lots of issues with your ability to think for yourself.
Well, but there's people, though, that you look at, like, say what if you found out that John Wayne was a huge Democrat sympathizing liberal? It kind of goes against type, right? I mean, like, you expect Christopher Reeve to be
Ronald Reagan was at one point.
Yeah. Then he made some money and he realized that was not the way to go. There's Matt Boucher. Crystal Map, good morning, ma'am. Hope you're doing well.
And maybe Sheree is just because I'm to the point where I really don't care what folks in Hollywood say.
Yeah, I think that's where we should all be.
I think the fact that they're being exposed for the type of people they are in silencing and not putting people to work who are considered conservatives. Now that that's being exposed, I think it's great.
BJ Nelson, good morning. Great time to remind you that this time of year, if you have friends, family, co-workers out in the counties, outside the city limits of Victoria, great Christmas gift.
Yep.
Trash service for a year. Call White Trash Services, 550-1826, and just give them the gift for a year. And you can do that all year, right? You could do it on a birthday. Just give them trash service
You could, yeah.
for a year. There you go. There's my mom. Good morning, Mom.
Funky Tremolina, good morning. Andrew Alvarez.
I think Mom's going to join me and Donner tomorrow evening for Alan Miller's birthday party down at Moonshine.
Nice. Scott Taylor Band going to play 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think they'll hit the stage.
Yeah.
Should be fun. Kathleen Leininger. Ricky King says he really likes Valerie Bertinelli.
Valerie Bertinelli, but yes, she was very likable, and she was so much better than her crackhead sister on what was that show called?
One day at a time. No.
One Day at a Time.
Yeah, it was.
Correct. I just she was never so much sexy, right? She was wasn't she more
pretty
flying nun?
curvy.
Wasn't she more flying nun sexy?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No. What's her name?
Sally Field?
Sally Field.
No. I
Who
wouldn't
was
go
pretty
that far.
cute by the time she got to middle age,
Yeah.
you know, when she was in like Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah. Stephen Castaneda, good morning. Hope Carter's doing well.
Here, Jarrett McCurgan checking in. We're going to get to what's going on up north in the 51st state, 53rd state, depending on which other ones join the union first.
See, Stephanie Connie agrees she was cute. She was cute.
Here's the other thing. I have a hard time trusting actors because I'm convinced that so many of them don't even know what reality is. They've had to fake everything that they do. I don't know that they even know where the lines between reality and faking it are.
They want
anymore.
to be popular more than they want to be definitive. That right? They want to be. They want to be liked. So it's so much when you're an actor, you can so much kid yourself that you're in the arts, and the arts are so liberal.
But you make your living pretending.
Right.
So how do we really know how you feel about anything? Unless you're a nut job like Alyssa Milano.
Right. Linda Chris says, they do say that you should never meet your hero. Yeah, that kind of goes in line, Linda, with the idea of don't ever make a god out of a man, because he's always going to let you down.
Unless your hero is your mom or your dad, your parents who've set a good example.
In this case, Commander Cody meets his heroes, his radio heroes, every day. Comes in.
And every day he leaves here just completely devastated and disappointed at what he sees. And
it's so cute how every morning when you get here, he's out by the front door and his little tail's wagging, and then then we just ignore him.
And when he leaves, his tail's between his legs and he's just head slumped.
Brian Small says he met his hero and it was Seinfeld. By the way, I imagine, in all fairness, B. Small and Seinfeld could have some amazing conversations with Brian's wit and Seinfeld's deadpan sense of humor.
Could they share shirts? Are they similarly built?
Yeah, Brian's probably a little bit more athletically built than Seinfeld. However, the thought would be that
Seinfeld could play some tennis.
Much like an Olympic basketball team, there's just not enough balls to go around. You know, I think Seinfeld would finally go, I'm the star. I decide what's funny. Because Brian would just level him. Yeah. Quite funny.
Adam Sugar says Brett Favre was his childhood hero.
That's only because he was a pill popper.
Cody's expectations are very low. We benefit from that.
Right. Valerie Bertinelli did have Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. Lisa Poole says, how about the school shooting in Wisconsin?
We'll get to that, Lisa.
But under Biden's watch, it doesn't matter.
I don't blame Biden for that.
No.
But I know, but the irony is that so many blame Trump for everything that happened. I understand what she's saying there.
Yeah. No, I know where she's going, and that's.
You know what happened in Wisconsin? I mean, you're in Wisconsin, right? It was a white guy, probably a Republican, with an AR style assault type rifle. Right?
Those were the original reports.
That's what you're gonna hear.
17-year-old
white guy with an AR rifle.
Turns out to be a 15-year-old female student at the school.
But she was transitioning. She thought she was a man.
Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin. One teenager and a teacher, I believe, were killed. 9 others injured as of an update last night on 5 Chicago. 3 of the people, two victims, one killed herself, the shooter.
Okay, she killed herself because it said there's 3 people dead, one was the shooter, and down here it says no officers fired shots during the incident.
Which I found interesting because listening to reports yesterday after they discovered that the shooter was dead, that was almost the first thing that they had said in every story. Police didn't shoot anybody. Police fired no shots.
Why not?
What exactly? Why does that matter? You had a shooter at a school, but it doesn't matter. You have a shooter anywhere. I would expect the police to show up and shoot this person if they didn't shoot themselves.
So am I right here? 6 people sustained injuries, including 2 students who were listed in critical condition. 4 of those individuals, 3 students and a teacher, were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. So there's a possibility that the only person that died here was the shooter.
No, there were two other. There was a teacher and another student
who were killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Two others were released from the hospital last evening. They haven't identified the shooter, but apparently the family is cooperating with investigators.
A handgun was recovered at the scene.
How'd they get the gun? 15 years old.
Well, I think one place that even the most leftist person who says, hey, you should be held accountable, her parents ought to be held accountable. Sorry. 15 years old, especially if she took a weapon from out of the home. Parents ought to be accountable. Lock up your guns. Lock up your crazy, but lock up your guns.
There's Robert Brown checking in. Good morning, sir. Jordan Glass says they have to say that because the crazy people would blame the cops for something.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's sad we've gotten there because I don't remember until recently the media ever doing that.
Well, they don't report anymore, right? They opine.
And that's kind of what they're doing. Well, police didn't shoot, but it does kind of lead you to believe that, police will show up and just start shooting before they do anything else, right? Interestingly enough, police were criticized in Uvalde for not showing up and shooting.
Well,
but now in Wisconsin, we have to report that the police showed up but didn't shoot anybody.
Peter McNally with the question, where does a 15-year-old get a pistol? Sadly, Pete, honestly, anywhere. 18-year-old friend, probably, not legally, not at a pawn shop, not at a gun store, underneath dad's pillow.
I don't know. Watch the movies that glorify gang violence and they get them off the streets in inner cities.
Sure.
It just goes to show you that laws don't matter. If you're dead set to do some damage and obtain a weapon illegally.
And I agree with Adam Sugar, who says, Uvalde police failed there. I remember right after that happened, we had Sheriff Louderback on, and the sheriff just said lack of leadership. There's a lack of leadership there. Nobody decisive
but
on the scene.
But I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of our media that Uvalde police showed up and didn't shoot, and now they're pointing out the fact that police didn't shoot. I don't care. If this 15-year-old female is gunning down innocent people, I could care less if the police show up and shoot her.
No, me either.
I could care less.
Are you saying because she's only 15?
I couldn't care less. Sorry.
Kill her. My thought is this. The drill you need to have with your kids, the drill you need to have as a parent with your kids is if somebody is in the school shooting, doing anything like that, get on the ground. If you can't run somewhere, my thought is this. If you walk in Uvalde, you're in Uvalde, and you're hearing him. This guy's in there. He's systematically killing children. The drill is this. When the door gets busted down, every kid hits the floor. The only person left standing is going to be the shooter, and he'll be easy to identify and eliminate. It's just got to be ingrained. When the door is breached, hit the ground. Everybody down. Maybe the teacher says that. Maybe you have a class leader that says that. He'll be standing there going, uh-oh, easy target.
And I'm going to say something that's probably not going to be very popular here, but I think the fact that we even have these drills is stupid.
You mean the fact that we have to?
Do we have to? Realistically, the percentage of schools involved in shootings is infinitesimally small when you look at all the schools in this country.
I agree. But then you see places all the time that you say they are ripe for such activity. And to not address it up front could be deemed irresponsible.
We won't put seatbelts on school buses because the number of children killed in a school bus crash is infinitesimally small.
And it could be very difficult to get them out in the event of an accident.
Could be.
But yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, it's kind of like, the nuclear. Nothing's changed, though. We teach them the same thing we taught them when we were preparing for nuclear Armageddon. Get under your desk.
Yeah. Peter McNally says her parents need to answer many questions. 100% agree, sir.
Yeah, well, yes and no. Her parents aren't responsible unless her parents told her to go shoot up the school.
No, they're responsible. She's a minor. She's a minor child. They're still accountable for her actions.
I agree that.
You just feel a little contrary today?
No, I agree. Their parents, are her parents. She lived under the roof.
You and I agree that at that age, a turd's a turd. You've heard us say it here for years.
Yeah, you're 15,
but I'm saying that doesn't relieve the parents of the responsibility.
Not if they played a role in her being able to get her hands on the gun. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or
didn't play a role in preventing her from getting her hands on a gun.
Like the last shooter who had severe mental issues and the parents just completely did nothing, right? Gave him the guns to,
Yeah.
But at 15, you know better. You know right from wrong.
Oh, certainly you know right from wrong at 15. That child knew that she was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my dad, one of the most benevolent, kind, and gentle people I've ever known, would say, well, good, at least she did the right thing and killed herself. That's what my dad would say. Good, saves the state some money right there. And then you got to...
I don't disagree.
You have to go through 5 appeals just to smoke her. Yeah, no doubt.
Linda says school shootings would end tomorrow if armed security is provided. Schools should not be gun-free zones.
I agree with that. I do. I think you ought to have at least... I think there ought to be a way to vet veterans and allow them just to be a presence at school. Let kids get used to being around veterans. Let kids get used to being around former military people. And I'm not talking about, if you're honest, if you're objective, right then your mind said, I don't know, man. There's a lot of veterans with a lot of demons. Man, I don't know if we can have them around our schools. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about folks that are retired from the military that are willing to give, hey, I'll take the morning shift. Ash will take the afternoon shift.
Probably some retired LEO that would be willing
Absolutely.
to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Or others.
For minimal expense. And by the way, if the first question you ask is, what would that cost? Well, then you're not really committed to school safety.
I want to figure out why. We keep hearing, it's mental health, or it's mental health. But is it really? Think back to 40 years ago when you went to school, or 50 years ago. Not even maybe one generation ago. Kids drove into the parking lots with guns in their back windows, hanging on a rifle rack. Somebody's 22 was there because you were going to go shoot moles after school or gophers after school in the field outside the city, right? Shotgun might have been there because you were going to go dove hunting at the end of the school day.
Can't do that anymore, but it makes sense to not do that now. It does make sense.
But why does it make sense? Because we have school shootings.
Right.
It made perfect sense when this wasn't an issue to keep your gun in the back of your truck. And all the trucks had that montage that kind of mirrored.
Or like a rodeo scene on
or
the back.
a mountain scene in Canada was popular.
H.R. Mallard, before it disappears, says seatbelts on school buses are mandated on all new buses in Texas. In a fight or flight situation, your brain will go to what it remembers. If you haven't trained, avoid, deny, defend, you will go into denial and just stay there. The stats show that the faster you get out of denial phase and take action, the better your survival rate is.
I'm just pointing out that the stats aren't there, and we've raised a generation of kids because parents are afraid of that stranger's going to kidnap my kid if I let him play in the front yard. And the crime statistics just don't show that, and we've got a generation or a generation and a half.
We stake our kids out in the front yard, and nobody's ever taken them. Exactly. Jim Hinojosa adds, it's a lack of discipline on these kids. I grew up with guns around the house and a fear of dad. I also grew up in a home where there were things that I was just told, you see that? Don't touch that.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Yeah. Don't drink anything under the kitchen sink. Okay, I won't.
Not even the bleach?
No. Now we got kids dropping Tide Pods.
Sarah Elkins, I drove my brother's truck to school one day and didn't even think about it. Got called out and had to take the rifle back home. That was back in the mid-90s.
Yeah. That's where we've changed in 30 years. And that's what I'm getting at. What changed? Something along the way has triggered this to be an appropriate response for some to go after those who bully them or perceive to be bullying them, whatever. I mean, it could be mental health and maybe they're making it all up in their head. Who knows, right?
At what
point? 40
point?
years ago, these things didn't happen.
At what point, to what depth would someone have to push you for you to walk in and open fire on unarmed people who have nothing to do with your being bullied or your anxiety? It's just a mental weakness that really, really only ends with the extermination of the shooter. I have no problem with that. Just kill him. When we were in high school, there was a gentleman.
There was no social media, though. Sheree Brissett says when the Columbine shooters were doing what they did.
There was a guy named Mr. Covington. I don't remember his first name. He drove a yellow Jeep. He was a chemistry teacher, I believe. Mr. Covington always had a shotgun or a rifle. Whatever season it was in the back of his Jeep. It was always there. I'm not even sure he locked the thing. It was just understood.
Wouldn't it have mattered? They could cut the roof anyway and get into there.
Now, Brian Small says he seconds the social media excuse.
I think social media is playing a larger role in other things. I think some of it feeds off of what's going on, the copycat or the infamy that, I mean, there are studies out there that point that some of these kids believe that, you know, the kids at Columbine were somewhat heroes and that if they do it, they can live in infamy like they did.
And I can't name one kid at Columbine.
I don't want to anyway.
Right. And we wouldn't anyway.
But I do believe social media is playing a larger role in a lot of things with kids, with the bullying. I think them having access to screens just all the time instead of using their hands and their brains to figure things out.
Well, the video games where you respawn. You know, you play Call of Duty. How much better would the world be? And how much better would the gamers be, honestly, if when you died in Call of Duty, that was it, you're done for the day? Kids take chances, do crazy things in these video games because I wait 15 seconds, I start a new round. What if you only got one round a day? What if that was the lesson? You died. There's consequences. Now the games don't have any consequences for dying, and people say, oh, that's a cop-out. It may be. But it's certainly a factor. I believe that the violence, the intense violence, the Grand Theft Auto where your goal is to run over people and watch blood fly everywhere, I think those things they're negative. But right?
No, I'm just kidding.
You get out of your brain what you put into it.
Jed Stewart says what a lot of people aren't thinking or are thinking but may not say. The difference between now and 40 years ago is mental illness is normalized and encouraged. And I think there's some truth to that.
True story. Mental illness is encouraged.
We used to institutionalize our crazy. I'm not saying that there weren't issues in some of those institutions.
Well,
but they weren't walking the streets. But that still doesn't explain what happened in Wisconsin yesterday, but I think it goes two part.
But do you really think? How many of you think that these loons, these trans idiots? How many of you think that? Well, they were always here. They just didn't have the courage to step out there like they do now. I think it's a copycat deal. It's kind of like the first person that decided to dress goth and put white makeup all over their face and black lipstick. That person was a leader, was a trendsetter. That person was making a statement.
Ali
the next
Sheedy
500 people, the next 500 people were just sheep. They've always been sheep. They are followers. They're not initiators. and they followed the wrong leader. So I don't know. Michelle Wilson says, I remember dress code coming back at East, and authorities wouldn't enforce it because the parents wouldn't at home. Call me crazy, but dress code was a first step in discipline and rule following, and we let the kids win that one. See, and I go the other way. When I lived down in the valley, there were kids showing up in board shorts and flip-flops, but they came to school and they were glad to be there.
Yeah.
I don't care what you wear to class. And then you get to college, which is supposedly everybody's goal, right? You get to college, they don't care what you wear at all.
Unless you're in welding class or metal shop or something like that, then they don't want loose hair and dangly jewelry and clothing.
Sheriff Louderback, that'd be Texas House District 30 Representative-elect Sheriff A.J. Louderback. Good morning, sir.
Jim Hinojosa says mental illness has become an excuse, and I think there's part of that.
I agree.
I do agree in some respects, because the goal with any illness is to cure it, except right now for mental health.
No, it's normalized.
There's too many that want to excuse behaviors.
100%.
Wow, they've got mental health issues. Why aren't we trying to cure them? Why aren't we trying to fix them? And I get it. Some may not be fixable, but I would argue most are, or at least, wow, he just got off his meds, didn't like the way they made him feel. But when they get off their meds, they go and stab 8 people at a college party in Calgary because they didn't like the way their meds made them feel. You know what? Them having an upset tummy over the meds they're taking keeps them from stabbing a bunch of people at a college party. Probably a trade-off society should accept, so should the person. Time to take a break?
Do it.
Time to take a break.
Run it. I'm looking for something.
Paravita Wellness, get in, get healthy, eat healthier. Diet plays a large role in how you feel, and Paravita can help you eat better and you'll feel better. You'll lose weight. If you have dietary restrictions, they can help you with planning those meals on a weekly basis. Go talk to Erica. She will plan a diet that is tailor-made for you. Stop by Paravita today, right there in the Town and Country Center on Airline, right at the corner of Airline and Laurent. Allen's Wrecker Service. Saw Allen's on the road yesterday. Busy time of year.
578-6300.
More people on the roads means Allen's is busier this time of year, and it's just going to get crazier this weekend because this weekend is the last full weekend before Christmas. Please drive safely and don't do anything unnecessarily and take risks that might cause you or others harm or death. Veracruz Restaurant, today is the day before Caldo Wednesday. Get in there today. Enjoy all the great Mexican fare. I'm a huge fan of their fajitas. Love them. Their hot sauce has just enough kick to it that your nose kind of starts sweating. Awesome stuff. Get into Veracruz today. USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home. Give Charlie Garcia and the gang a call. They will come and fix up your drab slab, transform it into something slabulous. Enjoy your patio again because it no longer that cracked, broken, former outdoor living space. You can enjoy it again. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. We haven't figured out where we're going to be, which day we will be there in January, but we will get that sorted out shortly after the new year. And we'll let you all know because we always have a blast when we're there.
We do have a blast over there. Always. I'm trying to find something that I posted the other day, but it just, I'm sorry. Dawn is my social media person. But here's one. I put this on Facebook the other day and shared it with you folks. But let me just read this to you. It's very, very quick. Your 8-year-old wakes up exhausted, not because he's sick, but because it's 6 a.m. You pour him cereal, not because it's healthy, but because it's quick. He stares at an iPad, not because it's good for him, but because you need to get ready. The school calls later. He can't focus. He can't sit still. He needs testing. The doctor writes a prescription, not because your boy is broken, because the system is. The truth is, his brain is fighting. Chemical food dyes, sugar crashes, screen addiction, sleep deprivation, and natural energy. but we medicate the child instead of fixing the cause. Your grandfather's kids played outside, ate real food, slept well, moved freely. No pills needed. Modern parenting isn't convenience. It's warfare against your own child. Give him a chance. Clean food, real sleep, free play, natural movement. Don't just give him pills if they are not truly necessary. The system wants patience. Nature made warriors. Amen. 100% agree with everything in that. We didn't know any different. When I was a kid, we'd get up, and my mom was dutiful to get up when it wasn't easy and make scrambled eggs pretty much every morning. You know, we had protein to start the day, because even then we knew that if you ate Fruit Loops, by 8:30 you were crashing.
Yeah.
You start off on about a 6, and that sugar takes you to a 10, but when you come off of it, you're at a 3. And then you're lethargic, and you can't pay attention. If you were like me, probably more than borderline ADHD, which, by the way, I would much rather try to rein in a wild horse than breathe life into a dead mule. If I was a teacher, give me a class full of hyperactive kids. I'll find a way to channel that. Don't give me a bunch of lethargic, glue-sniffing idiots all wanting to be on the back row.
It was called PE. That's how we reined it in.
Bring it back.
I mean, they still have PE, but I don't think it's as vigorous as it was.
No,
we climbed rope.
Because all the kids are fat. So you can't run them. If you run, what are you going to do? Little fat Lisa has a heart attack. You can't.
Did you have that thing that was kind of against the wall, and 2 or 3 kids were always every year or every day in the gym?
Dodgeball?
No, it was like a big jungle gym.
Oh, yeah,
and
it had the rack.
Yeah, and 3 kids had to go pull it out and set it up every day before you went in there, and then you had the ropes that you would climb to the ceiling and no mat underneath.
Y'all had a gallows in Canada?
More or less, yeah.
There's going to be hangings until morale improves.
I think the fact that, you know, marriages end in divorce 50% of the time, I think that's a problem. Dad's not being home. Somebody said that up here. I think it was Monica Joe said that. Linda Chris said a combination of dads no longer being at home. I think the fact that parents have to work 2 jobs nowadays to make ends meet for the most part.
So everybody deserves a living wage, $27.50 an hour. BJ Nelson says, what you wear says who you are. Wearing pajamas in public is rampant. You know, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
How many people just really don't care what they look like? They're wearing those flannel pajamas and Crocs, T-shirt, no bra. That's just the men. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was walking out of HEB on the weekend, and somebody walking in was wearing like a sport bra and pajamas. Shouldn't have been wearing either.
No. Well, we've talked about that.
In my mind.
Somebody said that we fat shame, but, you know, if you're that person that just because you can get in those leggings doesn't mean they really are form flattering. What about if you're a teacher, you don't really want a whole bunch of just compliant, laying around kids. I mean, if everybody in your classroom is on pick a drug of choice, Ritalin, there's no, it's like Stepford Wives. Nobody wants that.
You want kids that are engaged and are going to ask good questions and provoke thought in the classroom.
And you shouldn't have to tolerate kids that simply, it's one thing if every day you have to tell a kid, all right, sit down and be quiet. As long as the kid will sit down and be quiet. If the kid won't sit down, shut up, and learn something, then get them out of your classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking early, certainly by freshman year. By freshman year, going to high school is a privilege. It may be your right to be in attendance, but it is not your right to be a distraction. And guess what? Take some time off. I've never known anybody that went to get their GED that didn't get it. So if you can't contribute to the class in a positive way, we will bring you before a tribunal and dismiss you from high school. Your parents can figure out what to do with you. It's really not the school's problem. Now, the schools aren't big fans of this because they don't get paid when kids go home. But at what expense? If you've got one turd, nobody can enjoy the pool. So it's better to send that turd home and let the other 29 kids in that class, number one, learn the lesson, we will send you home. And number two, actually have an opportunity to learn. And it also reinforces to the kids that are still there, they do care about me. They want me to have a chance to learn. That's why they sent Brent home. He wasn't acting right.
Too many today want to go home because there's no parents there to hold them
I
accountable.
don't care about their motivation. If they're keeping my kid from learning, send them home.
I agree.
Where is the downside? Why do we owe that kid anything? Once you reach an age of some form of accountability, certainly by the time you're a freshman in high school, go home. Yeah, Callie Fromby points out, think about how everyone used to dress up to board a plane. Now it's pajama land, and the behavior of your fellow passengers completely reflects that change. Yeah, I am not the person that you want to sit behind or sit in front of, behind, and then put your unflip-flopped foot up on my armrest. You won't like that. I'll just take my drink and throw it right over the back of my seat.
Oops.
Sorry.
Air pocket.
I hit some turbulence. Oops.
I had a kid kicking my seat constantly, and I looked between the seats one time, and I said, you do that again, and your leg's going to be broken. And
Absolutely.
didn't kick my seat again.
Absolutely.
Kid was about 12 years old, knew better. It was an idle threat. We all know that, but it stopped him from kicking my chair.
Yep.
People used to dress up to go to ball games and hockey games and basketball games too, don't forget. Now, I mean, I'm surprised they don't nowadays at games because the average person can't afford a ticket to anything. Flying's gotten cheaper. Remember, that was the only people that could afford to fly were rich people growing up. But dad could take you to a ball game or a hockey game as a kid. Maybe not every day, but certainly, you could go. Nowadays, it's cheaper to get on a plane than it is to go to a sporting event.
No doubt. Because pilots don't make $50 million a year.
Oh man, the 50.
BJ Nelson says by law we have to educate them. Well, that's just bull, BJ. I mean, I know that's the case. I think by law you have to provide a public education. I don't think you have to let the turds stay in school. I just don't agree with that. Why? Why can't we just say you're out of here?
Provide them an online.
Yeah, go.
Access.
You can learn online. Get your GED. In fact, we'll get you out by the time the end of your junior year. I don't understand that. I get by law we have to educate them. I'd have to understand that further. I just think as a society, I can tell you.
By law, 15-year-olds shouldn't be shooting up schools.
The teachers, the educators, the administrators that I know, if you heard the stories that I hear when they're going, the stories that are along the lines of, you can't make this up. You're not going to believe this one, but I guarantee you'd say, send that turd home. And Mark Kurtz points out the school gets paid to keep them there.
And
That's
I'm not, and we keep hearing that, teacher pay. Some of the teachers that I've talked to, you can't pay them enough to go back into the classrooms and deal with the disciplinary issues that they have to deal with nowadays.
BJ Nelson's kind of a Renaissance woman. She says, go down a little bit. She says, I think about that every time I'm at the airport. Travel was former. We used to get dressed up for football games at Baylor. I loved hearing my mother talk about how they dressed at UT games. And they did. And it used to be when I was a kid, if you watch the Dallas Cowboys, the people that were in the good seats, they were all wearing coat and tie. Of course, Coach Landry wore a coat and tie.
Well, it was air conditioned.
Yeah. Well, that's how they showed off. Yeah. But Michelle Wilson Hawkins adds, I agree, Brent. Nobody gets a 0 these days. 100%. Yeah. I mean, are you in favor of moving an A down to an 88 and a B down to a 78 and a C down to a 68? I mean, what's wrong? When was the last time you heard about a kid failing a grade past third or fourth grade? Doesn't happen. Every kid's a winner, and they're just not, folks. Tell me you can't make a list of 4 or 5 losers that you know. Give them a head start. Get them out of our schools and get them out of the way.
B. Small says, yeah, just look at Carter this morning.
I'm dressed comfortably. I'll have you know, B. Small, I was up at 5:30 this morning strapped to that Peloton. I intend to be here a long time. Tammy Keenan says she remembers when people took their hats off inside. I agree.
Their shoes off before they entered the house.
I don't know why. It still bothers me when I see someone in a cap at church. I just have to accept that we all need to be there, and if that's how they're comfortable, then just roll with it.
Doran Bale says, now we have a U.S. senator that wears a hoodie.
Hey,
and the Senate made rules to allow it to happen.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have strong opinions on our schools, come run for school board. We will have 3 openings this May. BJ, I can't. The meetings take too long. Not to mention that they just take way too long. Not to mention the fact that it seems like it's a zero-sum game. The school board always comes back around to, well, we can't do anything about it. Our hands are tied. The state tells us what to do, and essentially all we do is hire the super and approve the budget. I want to be czar. I want to say, clean that up, pick that up. These 3 turds from ISS, get them over here picking the garbage up. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Okay, that's why our schools suck. Yes, Peter McNally, college athletes do go to school these days. Yes, sir.
And when we find out they don't play.
Yeah.
Or they get extra study hall.
Both parents working is when the big shift happens, Sheree adds. I don't disagree, but I'm guilty of it. I know why. It's because the things we want
we
come before the things we
need.
Yeah. And the things we want, actually, look in the mirror, preaching to the choir, the things we want become more important than the education of our children. The things we want for our children. Well, I want them to have a PS5, and I want them to have that DeMarini bat.
More than what I had.
I want them to have a better life than I did, but that you took for granted that your mom was there every day when you got home from school.
Guess what? They have a better life than you did.
They do. Just by
there's no generation that has had it better than this one. And in the last 100 to 200 years, nobody on this planet has had it better than those who have inhabited Earth in the last 200 years.
Kathleen Leininger, luxury now has become a necessity. And BJ adds correctly, I stayed home with my kids. I'll never regret it. You can have it all, just not all at the same time. Yep. Brian Small says some of these athletes can't form a sentence. No way they're going to class. There's some truth in that. I saw the other day where Travis Hunter, I think, had a 4.0 GPA. Of course, he might be getting a little assistance there at Colorado.
Smart kid, good kid.
Yeah.
We won't get into the Heisman thing, but I really thought Ashton Genty deserved it. And I'm convinced that maybe he swayed voters when Boise State won their conference championship a couple of weeks ago, and they kind of spoke out against all that's wrong with D1 big school college athletics.
Yeah.
Every kid and coach they talked to post game, first thing they did, they thanked God or Jesus for giving them the opportunity and the talent and the ability to play college sports. And they all talked about sticking together and not jumping in the portal.
A lot of truth in that.
That's not what D1 college athletics wants to hear anymore.
I did hear a guy one time say, isn't it funny how the winners always talk about God and Jesus? The guy never says, I was doing pretty good till Jesus made me fumble. That doesn't happen. Heather Kraft Stewart, who is an educator at the secondary level, says parents of students whose classes are disrupted continuously by other students have to go to schools to demand a fix, because the parents of the disruptors are extremely vocal and bring their lawyers, psychiatrists, etc., in tow when their kids are disciplined. You'll notice that
parents are to blame.
The propensity of a turd is often facilitated by an accommodating parent. It's not his fault.
There's terms for it. There used to be helicopter parents who hovered. Well, there's also a bunch of parents that are bulldozer parents. And they just plow over everything that's in their kid's way of whatever their kid wants, regardless of what that want is. The parent is there to just knock out any roadblock, whether it's there for the kid's own good or not.
Right.
Because their kid can't do anything for themselves.
And everything's got to be equitable all the time. You'll find that there's all these, there's a discrepancy, right? Well, you did that for him, but you didn't do that for little Billy. And then you insert the term, either misogyny, sexism, racism. There's always something, an ism in there, an issue or an ism. You'll look back and when Genty didn't get the award, there were people that said if Travis Hunter doesn't get the award, it's because people are racially biased against Deion Sanders. So he's got it. And I'm like, dude, everybody you mentioned is black.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
So take a final break, and then let's switch gears because there's lots going on that we need to talk about.
By the way, I love this last comment. We might start seeing players start going to a school as a team. Instead of the portal, a player who's a leader will get 8 to 10 players and they come as a package. That'd be awesome. I'm the quarterback and I'm bringing my O-line.
Well, which school was it which school was it that just basically said that we can't go play our bowl game because the coach left and half the team jumped into the portal?
I'm not sure exactly what's being said here, but it's worth it. There are fixes. There are also costs. He needed it. Little Billy didn't. That's equity. Sure. I'm just.
But I agree with that. I think this person needs the help. This kid doesn't. But here's the problem where we have right now, Tammy, in my opinion, in society. It's perceived that if this kid got the help they needed, this kid didn't get something, so we must give that kid something.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that.
That's the problem where we are. And parents, you gave this kid 2 pieces of chalk to write on the blackboard. My kid only got 1. What the hell?
I grew up in a world of teach, test, reteach. The goal is to teach the kid something. Sit down, shut up, learn something. Where do we start? Went Services went for all your electrical generator needs. Let Aaron Went and his team come out and give you a quote. More reasonable than you think. You could get a whole house generator installed turnkey. I'm talking about the trench dug, the conduit laid, the connections made, ready to go, automatic, under $20,000. You don't have to pay for it all at once. Lord knows you've got credit cards with that on it. It's crazy. RK Development Group, Daniel Rollins and his team, over 35 years of experience. They specialize in barns and barn dominiums, but they do bricks and sticks. Yep. They do it all. He's a contractor. He knows the code. He knows how to pour concrete. Give him a call. Daniel's a great guy, United States Marine veteran, a wonderful guy.
That's an offer, and that'soffer.com for all your new and used vehicles. Pre-owned, used is an old term. We don't use that one anymore.
That's right.
Pre-owned vehicles. They keep the best, get rid of all the junk that you don't want to be driving, and they don't want to be seen on the streets with an That's an Offer sticker on the back of it. So get over to That's an Offer, brand new Chevrolets, Mitsubishis, Mazdas, all sorts of pre-owned. They got lots of trucks in the lot right now. Truck
Absolutely.
season, SUVs, mid-size SUVs, crossovers. Yeah. They've kind of moved everything. They've stuck all their trucks and SUVs in front of the main showroom right now.
Brand us.
Cody's here, but he'll answer your call at 8:00. He's busy right now.
He is busy.
Don't call him right
now.
Don't call him. We need him.
Playing solitaire over there. He hasn't looked up from that computer.
No. Speaking of which, VCS companies, you need a new tablet, a new phone, all the accoutrement.
The accessories.
That goes with your phone for Christmas. Go ahead.
Is that our new headquarters? I cannot wait. We hope to unveil that before Christmas.
Chesnick Furniture Company for all your furniture needs. Go see Bobby Leon today.
Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Drive by and see why you just always do better at Chesnick.
Yeah. One more thing, Tammy, on the equity thing. There are also costs. He needed it. Little Billy did not. That's equity. No, I call it doing the right thing.
Well,
This
you have
kid
to
needs the
define
help.
equity doesn't mean equal outcomes. Equity means equal opportunity, correct? Is that fair? Things can be equitable means that everybody has the same chance to succeed. I believe that there are children that have special needs. I believe there are children that need special things. I believe that it's okay for a teacher to spend a little more time at student A's desk than she does at student B's desk.
If student A is having issues, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know why we have to label stuff. We used to just call doing it because that was what needed to be done. Now we've got to label it something.
See, I'm lost. If you have two children and one needs surgery and one doesn't, you either operate or deny. You neither operate nor deny both. I don't know what I'm lost.
I'm just saying you don't operate on both, nor do you deny both.
No, you operate on the one that needs it, but isn't that just common sense?
Yeah. Equal opportunity is not the same as equity. I agree, and that's
and
the
where
issue.
does equity come in? Equity seems to imply equal outcome, and everybody's not going to be a gold rope scholar.
But I don't know why we would have to label something. If somebody needs more help in school,
then go help them.
Go help them.
There you go. And I think that's what our teachers do. I think we can overthink it, over legislate it, overthink it.
Speaking of needing help, boy, our neighbors to the north in the 53rd state, or 51st, it's a race between D.C., Puerto Rico, and Canada. But Donald J. Trump yesterday tweeted out, the great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau.
Trump's just having fun at Canada's expense.
Her behavior was totally toxic and not at all conducive to making deals which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed. Krista Freeland yesterday decided to step down in a letter to Trudeau that she wrote and handed in her resignation yesterday, saying that she was not on the same page. Justin Trudeau, she's the deputy prime minister, so she's second in command in Canada. And Justin Trudeau...
Most who have been out of the classroom for more than 15 years, they're out of the loop. They can't imagine what goes on in a classroom. Tammy asks, why is equity a bad word? Because Ash is correct. Fear that there is not enough to go around. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a bad word. I think it's a word that gets often
because it's been misappropriated and misused. Because
don't you want everything to be equitable?
No,
I think everybody does.
I want everybody to have the same opportunities, and I think in theory we do.
But I
don't believe that everybody deserves the same outcome.
No, you deserve what you do with your opportunity.
If that's the case, you're in a classroom. I'm an A student, you're a C student. But because I'm the A student, does everybody get an A because that's the best grade? If the best student in that class has a B, does everybody get a B? That would be equitable.
Well, here's the next thing.
Right?
Equity, to me, is that, so I'm a C student. Am I content to remain a C student? If the teacher offers me the opportunity to come by after class hey ma'am, can I do some extra homework? Are there some math problem sheets that you would recommend I do? Because I'd like to improve my lot to at least a B. Yeah. The people like you that make A's, they go on and become engineers. The people like me that make C's, hopefully have the work ethic to get to a B, and we end up being salespeople. Everybody ends up, but that doesn't mean that
you don't work hard.
It doesn't mean I didn't maybe work twice as hard to make my B as you did to make your A, but it also doesn't mean that I didn't receive equity. The school could be extremely equitable in my understanding of the term equity, without both of us making an A. It doesn't mean that throwing more money at it or giving me endlessly volumes of homework is going to somehow make me into an A student, because it could be a thought process issue. Some people, I know guys that are just flat out smarter than me. I know most women are flat out smarter than me. They have a hard time outworking me. But that's a whole different story.
Jared McCrugan says people are quite equitable in North Korea.
They all get nothing. That's right.
I think you hit on something else, though. That school today, kids come home with way too much homework.
And parents are busy, in quotation marks, and as a result, the kids just blow through their homework and don't get anything done. Johnny Houghton says, yeah, also because of the fall economic state. Oh, we're back to talking about the assistant deputy there.
Yeah,
fall economic statement, the guardrail for the deficit was set at $40 billion, and she went to $61.9 billion. Canada's tired of her.
Well, the other thing is Trudeau wanted to give everybody a national sales tax holiday break for the holidays, and also 250 checks for $250 per person or something like that.
Right.
And the extreme leftist NDP party wouldn't go along with that because it didn't go far enough. Apparently, there were segments of the population that weren't going to get those checks.
Right.
And they couldn't stand for that as the NDP party.
One of the last words says equity is a bad word because of DEI, which, by the way, everybody credible is getting rid of DEI. Not because equity is doing what's right so that each child can reach their full potential regardless of what it is. I don't know how you measure that. If you're an A student, I'm a C student, my potential is a B, at what point do you decide that you've provided me enough opportunity?
Yeah.
I don't know that. Tammy says fear-mongering that equity is equal outcome. It doesn't mean that. Okay. We're not disagreeing, but at what point do you decide?
But it has become to mean that because that is what the leftists and the socialists in levels of government want.
But
they
the
want
result
everybody
is that
to have
the A
the
student ends up dropping back and everybody makes a B because the teacher spends all her time trying to help the kid that's really a C student get to an A. The A student is either bored or disinterested, and they all end up making Bs, and everybody's a failure. There's nothing wrong with having advanced placement classes. There's nothing wrong with testing students for aptitude and putting the best and brightest in a class where they can excel. And if you want to spend all day trying to pander down to the C students, knock yourself out in the name of equity. But there's a reason this country sucks globally at education, and it's called equity. Everybody's a winner. And everybody ain't a winner, and it's time we started leaving some kids behind.
Imagine if we didn't expect our doctors to be the best and the brightest.
Yeah. Oh, well, he was a C student, but dang it, he had a lot of good effort. Y'all have a great day, folks. We're done. Bye.
Bye, folks.